Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. My guest today is a familiar face on the coaching scene around the world. He's worked in the IPL, he's worked for international teams, and recently he was a successful coach of Islamabad United at the ninth edition of the Pakistan Super League. Very warm welcome to Mike Hesson. Mike, thanks very much for your time.
No, pleasure.
PSL 9, nice and easy, that wasn't it? First tournament, and you're champions.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't say it was easy. We had to work pretty hard, not only in the final, but obviously in the coming games up to that. So we won our last four in a row, and we started to peak at the right time, which I guess in tournament play is the way you want to operate. So, we got our combination right, we got our roles right, and then by the time we got the playoffs, we started to play some pretty good cricket.
When you lost 3 games in a row, were you, you don't appear to be the sort of guy who stresses or worries too much, but must have been a few concerns there when you lost 3 in a row in the group stages.
Yeah, it was really interesting. We'd sort of reached the halfway stage, and to be fair, we actually could have won every game. All 3 of the ones that we lost, we had phases where we were well ahead of the game, or potentially we should have got over the line. So it wasn't like we were being outplayed. So it was easy to just turn the focus around to focusing on us and being a little bit more clinical at those key times. We weren't, we got ourselves, as I said, into those positions, and then, we started to make some poor decisions under pressure. So those things were relatively easy to fix, but it was probably just getting that confidence back in the group that we were that close. I can believe it, but it's making sure that everybody around us believes it as well.
You're talking about belief. When did you actually believe that Islamabad United could win the tournament?
Look, I had belief at the start, but to be fair, we challenged that belief. Getting to that game against Multan, chasing 229, I think that was probably the turning point where, we'd played on some different surfaces in Rawalpindi, and some were quite challenging. But that was the first time we'd come across a surface that I'd heard all about, and it was flat, short boundaries, obviously a bit of altitude, so the ball flew. So it was, that was probably the turning point where we got over the line there. That definitely secured us a playoff berth. It actually allowed us to potentially be in the top 2 if things went our way, but we could just relax a little bit, and then, as I said, just focus on us.
You sort of did it the hard way, really, didn't you?
Yeah, finishing 3rd or 4th, we finished 3rd in the pool play. It makes it challenging. 3 games in 4 days is tough. Thankfully there was no travel, but yeah, 3 games in 4 days anywhere with that intensity is challenging. So look, I think the easy way is to finish top 2 and give yourself a bit of time to refresh. But we got on a roll. As I said, we got on a roll, got some confidence, and we started to win games from, some pretty precarious positions. So that belief just grew.
We're going to speak about some of the players, and I think we're better to start than Shadab Khan. I think in past editions of the PSL, there's been some concerns about all aspects of his game and also his captaincy, but this time he was a shining star, wasn't he?
He certainly was. Look, I really enjoyed working with Shadab. Really nice in terms of does his work behind the scenes from a captaincy point of view. Has a really nice manner with the players, doesn't get too emotional in terms of up and down. Is just, he's a fine captain, and I think he'll just get better with time as well. But very fine leader already. From a batting point of view, I think there's now starting to get that belief that he is actually a genuine, number 4 in T20 cricket, and I think he's got that ability to even get better and adjust his tempo depending on the situation. So, that was the role we really wanted to firm up for Shadab. And the first 2 or 3 games we manoeuvred it around a little bit, did a finishing role. Came in early, and then we pretty much settled on that number 4 slot, and he made it his own. So really pleased with that. And then from a bowling point of view, he'd been short of bowling, heading into the tournament. Obviously went to the ILT20 and only played a couple of games. So he did a lot of work behind the scenes when he was in Dubai, and then also the week leading into the tournament, just to get a bit more control of his length. And once he got that confidence, he started the tournament well with the ball, and then things started to flow. So, yeah, really delighted with Shadab in terms of all three facets of his game. I haven't even discussed the fielding. I mean, he's by far the standout in our fielding unit and positions himself in all of those hot spots. So just a really good all-round tournament, and quite rightfully was named player of the tournament.
There were two Imad Wasims at this tournament. There was the Imad Wasim, who we hardly saw. I mean, he bowled steadily in the first sort of stages of the tournament. And then there was the Imad Wasim, who with bat and ball was absolutely outstanding. What changed for him?
Well, there's a few things. Obviously, we went to Karachi, which is a surface that really suits his type of bowling, and obviously he knows that ground very well. So, Pindi's a tough place to bowl for anybody, let alone a spinner when it doesn't really turn. And also at Lahore, we played when there was a bit of dew in the first game, and so conditions definitely started to suit him better, but it's actually really difficult to change franchises where you're so desperate to make a mark. And I think Imad would be the first to recognise that he was probably just trying a bit hard and trying to make that impact early. And once he started to just believe in his own skill with it, but with the ball he was always good. As I said, conditions dictated that the outcome changed as the tournament went on. But from a batting point of view, he was putting a huge amount of work in behind the scenes. We'd certainly tried to find a slot from in the middle order there, but as I said, I just think he was just desperate to make an impact. And once he got one, once again that confidence and belief returned, and we saw the real Imad Wasim, and 3 player of the matches in 3 games, 3 playoff games. You just can't get any better than that.
You had 9 players who played 10 or more matches in the tournament, and 5 that played all your matches as well throughout the tournament. Consistency in selection, faith, loyalty, which wasn't prevalent in a lot of the franchises. Was that something that you had worked on going into the tournament, Mike?
Well, it's something I really believe strongly in. I think that if you haven't done your work beforehand to recognise pretty much what 9 of your 11 are, then you probably haven't done your work to get your squad together. So we worked pretty clearly that our emerging bowler was going to be one of the Shah Brothers. So that allowed us to structure our team around that. Whether the Beard played or whether Hanain played. So there was going to be less disruption there. Haider Ali was an exceptional form in our camp leading up to it. And when all the overseas arrived, he missed out. And when he got his opportunity again in the middle, because I really want him to work on becoming a finisher. I think it's an area that there are very few players around Pakistan that can do. There are a lot of guys that can bat in the top 4, but I think Haider has the qualities to become a truly world-class finisher. But he's got to learn the role. So it was really nice to then be able to give him some consistency of selection in that role. So outside of that, our top order was pretty much the same. Obviously, Martin Guptill came in at the back end, got the opportunity, with Alex Hales probably not being in vintage touch, and then Munro getting injured. So it allowed Guptill to come in, and he certainly grabbed his opportunity. So, probably the one thing, we only really played the 3 overseas, and that was due to the fact that we had so many internationals that we sort of, were able to get during the draft or during the trade phase.
Just on the topic of Haider Ali, Mike, Pakistan is yet to see the best of him. At under 19 level, he was an outstanding talent. He's been spoken of as an outstanding batter. But as I say, Pakistan are yet to see the best of him. What are the areas he needs to work upon?
Well, I mean, I think they need to find a slot for him, which is, a particular role. So batting at 3 in one game and 5 in the next and 7 in the next is incredibly difficult for a highly experienced player, let alone someone who's trying to find his feet. And the reality is that, batsmen mature at different stages. And to think that somebody's going to come straight from under 19 straight to international cricket and, be a standout, even Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli, the very best in the world, they will get dropped. They will have times where they lose a bit of form early on in their career, and then they find out how to play. And, Haider is a player who is just working out the tempo of how to play in different formats, and he deserves some time. He's got talent, and I think often in Pakistan, and not Pakistan's not the only country that have it, but they're desperate for players to succeed straight away, and they don't have a huge amount of patience. And I think that any young developing player, you need patience. Otherwise, all you do is just go around in circle and just pick the next most talented player and give them, 10 games or 15 games and then get rid of them and then try someone else. And then at the end of the day, you've got no one. So, for me, it is about identifying talent. And then once you have talent, you actually need to persevere. And it doesn't mean you don't let them go and then find their feet again, but you don't throw them out, and you actually start to understand that, batting in the middle order and limited overs cricket is a tough game. And it's one that you need a bit of time to work out, how to play. And Haider, I think, is somebody that Pakistan should invest in.
Speaking of talent, the Shah Brothers, ever worked in a side where you've had three brothers, Mike? And also, what phenomenal talents they are, aren't they?
Certainly never worked with three brothers. Worked with two a couple of times, with the McCullums and the Marshalls. But certainly, not with three. And they're all very different. I mean, Naseem's obviously more of the finished product, although he was coming back from injury. Just highly skilled, amazing wrist position. So if there's anything on offer, he will generate swing. But he's also developing his craft as well, and working out how to adapt his style to different surfaces. So that's exciting in terms of the fact that he can get even better. Hanain is, a little bit more advanced than Ubaid in terms of has played a lot more domestic cricket. Probably more a middle over and end bowler at the moment, but can develop into a new ball option. And Ubaid just got a couple of games at the start and obviously was very impressive in the under-19s. Probably a bit more pace and a bit more bounce. Bowls a different length than the other two. So just a really nice group of bowlers that, if we're able to keep them together, they've got some quite different skill sets that I think could work well together.
The Lahore Qalandars coach, Aqib Javed, bearing in mind Lahore Qalandars finished bottom of the group, has said that the PSL standard was low this year. Is that sour grapes, Mike?
Oh, look, I don't think it's sour grapes. I mean, everyone has an opinion. I actually think, other than the fielding at Lahore, which I think a lot had to do with the lights and the sort of the mist. I mean, the fielding in that first week or so was of a low standard. But I think there's reasons for that. Outside of that, I think it was a highly competitive competition. I think the standard was very good. I think it was very good. I think the challenge the PSL will always have is getting high quality overseas players that are available for the whole tournament. And I think that's the piece of the puzzle that they need to get right. And that's probably a timing issue, trying to find a time where you're not in competition with every other competition that's going around. So, but yeah, I thought the PSL was my first time there. And I thought it was a very good standard.
We mentioned continuity and faith in the players, but Islamabad also has a lot of continuity and faith and trust in the coaching setup as well. Guys like Azhar Mahmood, who've been at Islamabad United for a while, how important was his role?
Oh, very important. I mean, Azhar's, comes from the area, highly experienced coach, multi-skilled in terms of can work in lots of different areas. Did a great job and was just a really good sounding board for me as well. Someone to work with closely. Had James Franklin there, Hanif Malik. It was a really nice coaching group that sort of complemented the players that we had, and obviously Azhar played a big part in that. But they all did. James was a calming influence within that batting group. When he was there, Hanif, highly passionate, highly skilled, and just do fill in the gaps wherever anyone needs help. So he was great, not only with the local lads, but also the overseas picked up some skills from him as well. So, yeah, really delighted with the coaching group. And to be fair, the whole support staff. When you go into a new group, you're unsure what you're going to come across. But just a really professional group. The owners were probably set that tone in terms of being really calm and clear in expectations. Ali and Amna Naqvi were, exceptional owners and ones that gave a lot of trust to the coaching and the playing group. And as I said, the support staff was, very professional. So from a playing group, that's really all you can ask. And, I think a nice stable platform to work from.
The owners have mentioned the late Dean Jones, dedicated the win to Dean. What sort of influence has he still got within the group?
Oh, look, I mean, Rayhan has sort of been here from the start as well, and Rayhan and Dino were great mates, and I knew Dino really well from the time he sort of set things up at Islamabad United. So, look, always in the back of our mind, and in terms of the initial style that Islamabad set and the types of players they wanted, so it's just nice to, I guess, try and carry on that legacy. It's been a few years since we won a trophy, and to be able to do it again, I'm sure Dino will gain plenty of pleasure for that. And I know the playing and the support staff, thought of Dino at different times as well. So it is a family. I mean, as I said, I've only been there the 1 year, but it does have that family feel to it.
Finally, Mike Hesson, Pakistan head coach, has a nice ring to it. Mike, not fancy that job?
Oh, look, I've made it pretty clear in recent years I'm not available for international cricket, just for my own personal reasons. So, not something that in the next couple of years I'm going to be looking for. My personal situation will change in time, but I certainly had a discussion during the tournament, and was really was pleased, I guess, to be thought of in that vein. But as I said, my situation doesn't allow me to do international cricket at the moment. So I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing and enjoying spending quite a lot of time at home and doing a bit of broadcasting and probably another franchise tournament around the world at some stage. But to be away for that period of time is just doesn't work for my family situation at the moment.
So the PCB did express an interest, Mike.
Yep. I spoke to the PCB and during the tournament and just sort of explained my situation, and was thankful that, as I said, they'd thought of me, and obviously they were just going through their process at the time of trying to find a suitable applicant. So I was unfortunately not available for the role, but I'm sure they'll find a good coach.
Mike, thank you very much for your time. You were a breath of fresh air at PSL 9 with your innovation and fantastic coaching. And, it's always good to see a new coach come into the PSL with fresh ideas. And, I think it was appreciated by a lot of cricket fans around the world. And, wish you all the best for the future. And I'm sure you'll be back for the PSL next time around.
Yeah, can't wait. Look forward to it. And, appreciate the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Take care. All the best for the future.
Thank you. Bye-bye.